how might character complexity and arcs work in a long-running, open-seasoned horror series?
I've never thought about it, because in most horror stories, people don't arc. If Jamie Lee Curtis is going to end up killing, a monster at the end, she was tough from the beginning, and she just got tougher. All right. And it's great that, we see how tough she is. She's revealed, but she's not changed. I don't know that horror stories in the past have really thought about the deep psychology of characters, and to change characters in any profound way in the face of monsters or horrors. But no reason why not. And it seems to me that if you're going to do that, if you're really going to do that, you have to answer the question, what is the effect of this kind of extreme, constant, not just fear, but terror on the mind, and then make choices accordingly. You could start with a character who's very innocent, and as they battle the monster, it turns out to be somebody who grows into out of naivete into really gritty awareness to deal with, and so they could grow up. It could be a maturation plot in that way, or you could have the opposite, where the terror, the horror, shreds somebody, and they go from a mature person to a babbling child. And in a horror story, to evolve characters, they would have to be the kind of changes that a human being would experience as a result of the extreme terror of horror. What the monster wants, what evil wants, is to reverse nature. And so the natural thing, you have characters begging for their life. To the monster, that's not good enough. What the monster wants is characters begging for their death, to put human beings in such a terrible state that they beg for death. Please kill me, please. And that kind of extraordinary stress, of course, is going to damage the minds of people, and so they're going to shatter, and that's an arc. Or in the face of that terrible threat, they dig inside themselves and find the strength to defy that, and never ever beg for their death, and in fact inflict death on the monster. So what I'm saying is that whatever change a character undergoes in a horror has to be the result of the direct effect of the horror itself. So you can't think in terms of arcing characters in ways that they would arc if there was no horror. And so the effects of terror and the fate worse than death, the situation where you would beg to die, the effect of that kind of terror on the mind is what's going to bring about change. It's either going to destroy them or they're going to find the power to deal with it. What you should be looking for in a horror story is what effect does that kind of terror, that kind of fear, that kind of threat have on the mind. What was that film? It's called The Ring, where ultimately the mother and the child become servants of the monster. The monster somehow, consumes other people, but the mother and the child then become a lure. Decide, they change. I mean, they make a moral decision. At the beginning, the mother is certainly fighting the monster, but eventually she sells her soul to the monster and becomes the monster's bait to lure other victims. And that's a change. It's a great moral change. And so morally, she degenerates, but with irony because it saves her life and her child's life. So that's an example. And she changes, she morally corrupts in order to live and to keep her child alive. And so you could see the effect of the terror. She made a moral choice. Yeah, that interesting. But again, because for the fifth time, I guess, because it's a horror film and not, some sort of family drama, character change in a horror film would have to be due to the effect of the monster.